It's June 30th, and the time is 9:08. We are here for our community development meeting. I'm calling this meeting to order. In attendance are Commissioners Brooks and Duncan, and Chairman Filio should join us shortly. So, Ben, would you like to lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Pat, are you on the line?
Yes, I am.
All right, thank you. Thank you for everybody's patience. No opening remarks. Conflicts of interest? Hearing none. All right, deliberations, MSF 21-0003, Fox Hollow Phase 2 Final Subdivision Approval for the first edition. Okay, Vlad?
Good morning, Commissioners. For the record, Vlad.
I don't think your mic is on.
I apologize. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Good morning. For the record, Vlad Finkel with Kootenai County Community Development. As you just stated, Commissioner Duncan, this is a request for a final plat of Phase 2 of Fox Hollow subdivision that was approved in 2013, or actually 2014. The subject property is located just northeast of Hayden Lake. The site is fairly level. It's approximately 57.5 net acres and 59 acres gross, accounting for half of the adjacent right-of-way along Rimrock Road. The first phase of this subdivision was approved in 2019, and it consisted of 28 lots. 27 were on the west side of this natural open space tract, with the 28th lot being the current subject request for the remaining lots to be platted. It's zoned restricted residential with a minimum lot size requirement of 8,250 square feet. However, the property is located within the City of Hayden Lake area of city impact with a minimum density requirement of 1 dwelling per acre. Just of course of proceedings, as I stated, this was approved. The preliminary plat was approved on May 1st of 2014. Through at least one extension, the applicant was able to move forward with the first phase approval in 2018 and got final plat approval on April 18th, 2019. They had up to April of 2021 to submit a final plat application. They have 24 months to submit a final plat application for a subsequent phase. They actually submitted the phase that's before you this morning in March of 21. We've been working on this for a year and 4 months now, trying to bring everything into compliance with the original conditions of approval. As you can see, this is the original preliminary plat. There were 27 lots west of this open space tract, with the remaining 32 lots on the east side of the property. Rimrock Meadows 3rd edition is directly to the east of the subject property. This is what the first phase looked like, and this is the remaining phase. One of the issues that we ran into while reviewing this application was the fact that the fire district requested a secondary means of access to meet their fire code requirements. There is a main access off of Rimrock Road that is west of the subject property, and it was always contemplated that through the review process and infrastructure improvements that they would have secondary means of access. Unfortunately, there was a legal dispute with the adjoining property owner directly to the east because the road system within Rimrock Meadows subdivision is privately owned and maintained, and therefore, even though both subdivisions contemplating having their road right-of-ways or road easements extend all the way out to property lines, due to the private-public aspect of this connection, there was a legal dispute. I have to remind the commissioners that the interior road system was to be dedicated to Lakes Highway District, and because of the public-private discrepancy, didn't seem like the two parties could reach an agreement. So following some back and forth, the applicants were able to, so this was their original emergency access location. This is what it looks like today. There is a barrier between the two subdivisions. This is looking east. This is Rimrock Meadows, 3rd edition, and this area is Fox Hollow, 1st edition, phase 2. Because of an issue of between the two parties, they were finally, the Fox Hollow developers were finally able to negotiate and acquire a legal access easement for secondary means of access north of the subdivision off of Wildflower Lane. It's a private road, but they did secure an easement with the owners of Wildflower Lane Property LLC that owns this private road, and they, as of this week, they were able to construct an emergency access between lots 5 and 6 of the proposed plat to meet the bare minimum requirements of Northern Lakes Fire District. I have personally spoken with Tyler Dreschel, Fire Marshal for Northern Lakes Fire District, as well as received a written confirmation that this latest alternate emergency access meets their requirements. This being the last piece of information that we needed to confirm compliance with the original conditions of approval set forth in MSP 130003, we hereby recommend approval at this time. I don't have anything else to add unless you have questions.
All right, questions for Vlad? All right, I think I'm good with it. Is there a motion?
I move that we approve the final subdivision approval of Fox Hollow 1st edition.
Second?
Bill Brooks,
Aye.
Commissioner Duncan,
Aye.
Chairman Philios is absent.
All right, and I did forget that Chairman Philios did have a 9:30 appointment, and so the overrun of our first meeting prevented him from coming here. All right, so now we're into our business item. And this is consideration of amending section 8.4.1004 B11 of the Land Use and Development Code, which reads, "In no case will addresses be issued to illegal structures or uses not properly permitted under the provisions of this title." David?
Commissioners, good morning. This is before you at the request of our Geographic Information System staff, because they are concerned that we have an existing structure without an address. They're worried about harm to the occupants. I understand that. I'm concerned that this particular building does not have a building permit. And so I'm not authorized under the law, since we enforce these things, to go forward with an address in this particular case. And that's what I've told the GIS staff. But I also told them we would have a conversation just about, this is the law. I'd like you to know why I think it's the law. And then we can dialogue with any options you think are useful. But in this particular case, since this existing home does not have a building permit and people are living in it, and we actually have placed a notice of violation on the property, so the property owner knows that they should ask for a building permit in order to get an address. I think this is one where, I'm comfortable, as the law says, leaving it alone, because it's the only way we encourage people to do the right thing.
Right.
But, I also understand GIS's concern if these people had a heart attack or pick something. They don't have an address.
But where's personal responsibility? If these people do not have an address, I think that's their responsibility.
You and I are of a similar mind.
Okay. So, I'm sympathetic to GIS, their request, but I don't see how issuing addresses
it actually encourages, in my view, encourages wrongdoing.
Right.
Because if we do it this time, everyone, hears about that and says, well, the county will never do anything. I mean,
Yeah.
the other way to think about this is, should we consider asking our legal counsel to go forward with legal action on this one, since people are living in a home that we can't say is safe?
Well, that becomes another personal responsibility issue too, but that's for another time.
Right.
So how do people get their addresses? Is it,
They come through my department,
Yes.
community development, and make a request. And normally, the way the process normally works is when they ask for a building permit, we give them a temporary address or permanent, depending on the circumstances. Temporary if they don't know exactly where their driveway is going, permanent if they do. And then through the building permit process, once we issue a CO, that address is finalized and we're done.
okay,
But in a case like this,
right. So what if somebody has land and they want an address because they're going to go, like the one in Hauser, he just bought the property, he wants to park his RV there, 7 weeks a year or whatever it is. So, does that one not have an address then?
typically not, because typically you need a permanent structure of some kind. that
Okay,
meets
so that's
code.
the key. You have to have a permanent structure.
Right, like a barn or a home or
Okay,
something that meets code and needs a building permit.
yeah. Pat, do you have any thoughts on this?
I tend to be in agreement with David. I think that this is an important piece to help us, enforce our codes and, actually, encourage personal responsibility by, making sure things are done in accordance with our, with our codes, and that we do have that, at least opportunity to inspect for safety and compliance with our codes. So I would not be an advocate for removing that item from our code.
Okay, Bill? Thank you.
I think it's important that properties have addresses, but at the same time, I think the government can overreach by using other means to insist that they comply and have an address. So I'm not terribly happy about that.
So you're okay with just leaving the code as it
I would
stands?
leave it as it is.
Okay. All right, there's your direction, and if
Thank
you
you.
would like GIS to call me, I'll be happy to speak with them. So, all right, well, with nothing further, it is 9:21, this meeting's adjourned.